Number 1. It is quite possible that an animal has spoken to me and that I didn't catch the remark because I wasn't paying attention. Number 2. To the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. The dog did nothing in the nighttime. That was the curious incident, remarked Sherlock Holmes. Number 3. Dr. Mortimer looked strangely at us for an instant, and his voice sank almost to a whisper as he answered, "Mr. Holmes, they were the footprints of a gigantic hound." Number 4. I am no bird, and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will. Number 5. I suppose it's like the ticking crocodile, isn't it? Time is chasing after all of us. Number 6. Es-tu brute? Explanation. The phrase is often used to describe an unexpected betrayal by a friend or loved one. Number 7. This goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory, this most excellent canopy. The air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire. Why, it appears no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man! How noble in reason! How infinite in faculty! In form and moving how express and admirable! In action how like an angel! In apprehension how like a god! The beauty of the world! The paragon of animals! And yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Number 8. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Number 9. How it is that animals understand things I do not know, but it is certain that they do understand. Perhaps there is a language which is not made of words and everything in the world understands it. Perhaps there is a soul hidden in everything and it can always speak, without even making a sound, to another soul. Number 10. New kids always laughed about that till they got a look at the cat. It was the meanest looking animal I ever saw. It had one short leg and a broken tail and one missing eye, and the mailman wouldn't deliver anything to the herdmans because of it. Number 11. They always think they can improve upon nature and mend what God has made. Number 12. There warn't anybody at the church except maybe a hog or two, for there warn't any lock on the door, and hogs likes a punchin' floor in summertime because it's cool. If you notice, most folks don't go to church only when they've got to, but a hog is different. Number 13. Never take the life of any animal needlessly. A live monkey up in that tree is of more use to us than a dozen dead ones at our feet, as I will show you. Number 14. I gathered a handful of small stones and threw them up toward the apes. The stones did not go near them, but influenced by their instinctive mania for imitation, they instantly seized all the coconuts within their reach and sent a perfect hail of them down upon us. Number 15. I want to go about like the light-footed goats. Number 16. Ducks and geese are foolish things and must be looked after, but girls can take care of themselves. Number 17. Well, said I, let the little orphan be yours. You bravely and kindly exerted yourself to save the mother's life. Now you must train her child carefully, for unless you do so, its natural instinct will prove mischievous instead of useful to us. Number 18. What a jolly little fellow it is. Number 19. He would say that God had given him a tail to keep the flies off, but that he would sooner have had no tail and no flies. Number 20. Donkeys live a long time. None of you has ever seen a dead donkey. Number 21. All men are enemies. All animals are comrades. Number 22. She was amazed that it would come so close, but she remembered that this was a national park. All the animals in the park would know that they are protected. Number 23. Trying to get retribution against a fish is crazy. Number 24. But what are you going to do to my animals? That's not really the question, Mr. Hammond. The question is, what are they going to do to us? Number 25. One of them was brown all over, but the other had strange markings under his fur, as though long ago he had been spotted, and the spots still showed through. And about his little soft nose and his round black eyes there was something familiar, so that the boy thought to himself, "Why, he looks just like my old bunny that was lost when I had scarlet fever," but he never knew that it really was his own bunny, come back to look at the child who had first helped him to be real. Number 26. At last the large egg broke, and a young one crept forth crying, "Peep, peep." It was very large and ugly. Number 27. I like the animals, but I love the humans. Number 28. One of the few advantages man has over other animals is the ability to choose the way to bring on his own death. Number 29. The lion and the giraffe and the wombat and the rest do what they do and are what they are, and somehow manage to make it there in the cage, living the unexamined life. But to be human is to know and care and ask, to keep rattling the bars of the cage of existence hollering, "What's it for?" at the stones and stars, and making prisons and palaces out of the echoing answers. That's what we do, and that's what we are. And that's why a zoo is a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Number 30. Why don't they cut their own children's ears into points to make them look sharp? Why don't they cut the end off their noses to make them look plucky? One would be just as sensible as the other. What right have they to torment and disfigure God's creatures? Number 31. We aimed for no more than to have dominion over every creature that moved upon the earth. Number 32. God had given men reason by which they could find out things for themselves, but he had given animals knowledge which did not depend on reason, and which was much more prompt and perfect in its way, and by which they had often saved the lives of men. Number 33. He believed with complete conviction that no animal was permanently ruined. Every horse could be improved. He lived by a single maxim: learn your horse. Each one is an individual, and once you penetrate his mind and heart, you can often work wonders with an otherwise intractable beast. Number 34. Man is an experiment, the other animals are another experiment. Time will show whether they were worth the trouble. Number 35. I have been studying the traits and dispositions of the lower animals, so-called, and contrasting them with the traits and dispositions of man. I find the result humiliating to me. Number 36. I behold thee, Enkidu, like a god thou art. Why with the animals wanderest thou on the plain? Number 37. Nearby another one arose, and there was a pop. Little bubbles of air snapped as these voiceless animals of the earth came to the surface. That got me to smiling. I was glad to know this about earthworms. I don't know why, but this seemed like one of the nicest things I had learned in the woods, that earthworms, lowly, confined to the darkness of the earth, could make just a little stir in the world. Number 38. It is indeed strange to be looked in the eye by this fearless wild animal. Number 39. You mustn't be afraid of him. He is our brother Daniel come home. When he milks you, you must be good and stand still. See how big and strong he is. He will take care of us and keep us safe. Number 40. Frightful fluffed her nubby feathers and shook. I picked her up in the cup of my hands and held her under my chin. Number 41. See that falcon? Hear those white-throated sparrows? Smell that skunk? Well, the falcon takes the sky, the white-throated sparrow takes the low bushes, the skunk takes the earth, I take the woods. Number 42. Be a realist. The world is made up of two classes, the hunters and the hunts. Luckily, you and I are hunters. Number 43. He thought. She keeps calling the owlet. Number 44. They seemed amazingly busy. I began to ask myself what they could be. Were they intelligent mechanisms? Such a thing I felt was impossible. Or did a Martian sit within each, ruling, directing, using much as a man's brain sits and rules in his body? I began to compare the things to human machines, to ask myself for the first time in my life how an ironclad or a steam engine would seem to an intelligent lower animal. Number 45. I was no longer a master, but an animal among the animals, under the Martian heel. The fear and empire of man had passed away. Number 46. And before we judge of them too harshly, we must remember what ruthless and utter destruction our own species has wrought, not only upon animals, such as the vanished bison and the dodo, but upon its inferior races. Number 47. And we men, the creatures who inhabit this earth, must be to them at least as alien and lowly as are the monkeys and lemurs to us. The intellectual side of man already admits that life is an incessant struggle for existence, and it would seem that this too is the belief of the minds upon Mars. Their world is far gone in its cooling, and this world is still crowded with life, but crowded only with what they regard as inferior animals. To carry warfare sunward is, indeed, their only escape from the destruction that generation after generation creeps upon them. Number 48. One cannot bring children into a world like this. One cannot perpetuate suffering or increase the breed of these lustful animals who have no lasting emotions, but only whims and vanities, eddying them now this way, now that. Number 49. The bodies of irrational animals are bent toward the ground, whereas man was made to walk erect with his eyes on heaven, as though to remind him to keep his thoughts on things above. Number 50. The king, however, had a lion which was a wondrous animal, for he knew all concealed and secret things. Number 51. The creature was utterly strange, not like anything they had ever known. And yet when it looked at them, some kind of recognition passed between them. I know now, said Dune. This is the world we belong in. Number 52. The flying spaghetti monster made the platypus because, unlike scientists, he has a sense of humor. It's an unlikely sign from God, and until someone can prove me wrong, that's my theory. Number 53. Cats were the gangsters of the animal world, living outside the law and often dying there. There were a great many of them who never grew old by the fire. Number 54. It is of interest to note that while some dolphins are reported to have learned English, up to 50 words used in correct context, no human being has been reported to have learned Dolphinese. Number 55. Long before the Industrial Revolution, Homo sapiens held the record among all organisms for driving the most plant and animal species to their extinctions. We have the dubious distinction of being the deadliest species in the annals of biology. Number 56. always pitiful when any human being falls into a condition hardly more respectable than that of an animal. How much more pitiful it is when the person who falls has had all the advantages. Number 57. I was happy to be home. Everything that I saw, the otter playing in the kelp, the rings of foam around the rocks that guarded the harbor, the gulls flying, the tides moving past the sandspit, filled me with happiness. I was surprised that I felt this way, for it was only a short time ago that I had stood on this same rock and felt that I could not bear to live here another day. Number 58. He knew you could never teach an animal anything if you struck it, or even shouted at it angrily. He must always be gentle and quiet and patient, even when they made mistakes. Number 59. If Alape and my father had come back and laughed, and all the others had come back and laughed, still I would have felt the same way, for animals and birds are like people too, though they do not talk the same or do the same things. Without them, the earth would be an unhappy place. Number 60. Llama Llama Red Pajama waiting for his mama. Number 61. Llama Llama Red Pajama hollers loudly for his mama. Number 62. The following day, his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses, was thrown off, and broke his leg. Number 63. Hooray! My good friends are here. Number 64. The Silk family are large and attuned to each other and the world around them. They live on the fringe a little, love to dress up, embrace imagination, and surround themselves with animals and love. Narrated by 8-year-old Griffin, this sad but celebratory tale is an exceptional read. Number 65. If you look close, he whispered, you can see that wild critters have no trespassing signs tacked up on every pine tree. Number 66. This is interesting, very interesting, something quite new. Give me the birds ABC first slowly now. So that was the way the doctor came to know that animals had a language of their own and could talk to one another. Number 67. I can lick 22 tigers today. Number 68. You're excused. You may go. Your fingernails aren't very clean. Number 69. Meanwhile at the zoo, the animals waited for their friend. Number 70. It's not fair, after all, to lick tigers so small. Number 71. You, down there, with the curly hair, will you please step out of line? Number 72. He was very fond of animals and kept many kinds of pets, besides the goldfish in the pond at the bottom of his garden. He had rabbits in the pantry, white mice in his piano, a squirrel in the linen closet, and a hedgehog in the cellar. Number 73. I can lick 30 tigers today. Number 74. That friend of yours is smarter than a cornered fox. Number 75. John, how can you expect sick people to come and see you when you keep all these animals in the house? It's a fine doctor would have his parlor full of hedgehogs and mice. Number 76. Animals don't always speak with their mouths, said the parrot in a high voice, raising her eyebrows. They talk with their ears, with their feet, with their tails, with everything. Number 77. Then John Dolittle got a fine, big pair of green spectacles, and the plow horse stopped going blind in one eye and could see as well as ever. And soon it became a common sight to see farm animals wearing glasses in the country round Puddleby, and a blind horse was a thing unknown. Number 78. I felt sure there was tuppence left, said the doctor. There was, said the owl, but you spent it on a rattle for that badger's baby when he was teething. Number 79. You can't stop animals from running away. They're frightened. They don't want to be killed and eaten. Number 80. Tar, Spanish onions, kerosene oil, wet raincoats, crushed laurel leaves, rubber burning, lace curtains being washed, no, my mistake, lace curtains hanging out to dry, and foxes, hundreds of 'em cubs. And can you really smell all those different things in this one wind? Asked the doctor. Why, of course, said Jip. Number 81. Some of you chaps should go home and take naps. Number 82. Then, under a full moon, it happened. An anteater, an elephant, a turtle, and a flamingo went over the wall. They broke out of City Zoo. Number 83. It is a story about family, pets, animals, the sea and its numerous creatures, an island nestling a forest and its mysterious beings, an old man in his world building it to a kingdom of his own along with the orangutans and the gibbons, men and animals living together, separations and wars. Number 84. It's getting late, after all, we have a morning bus to catch. Number 85. The trees filled with birds which flew still nearer the star. Number 86. So Amos said good night to the elephant, and good night to the tortoise, and good night to the penguin, and good night to the rhinoceros, and good night to the owl, who, knowing that Amos was afraid of the dark, read a story aloud before turning out the light. Number 87. He would play chess with the elephant, who though and though before make a move, run races with the tortoise, who never ever lost, sit quietly with the penguin, who was very shy, lend a handkerchief to the rhinoceros, who always had a runny nose, and at sunset, read stories to the owl, who was afraid of the dark. Number 88. Of course, Brer Fox wanted to hurt Brer Rabbit as much as he could, so he caught by the hind legs and slug him right in the middle of the briar patch. There was a considerable flutter where Brer Rabbit struck the bushes, and Brer Fox hung around so as to see what would happen. Number 89. Can I be of help? Big Cat asked. I want to see the world. Little Fish said. The world is beautiful here, really beautiful, Big Cat said. The flowers, the trees, the ocean just over the hill. Number 90. Little Fish talks himself out of Big Cat's frying pan and back into his pond in this flimsy fish story. Number 91. Toad found some rope in the cellar. I will pull Frog out of the hole with this, said Toad. Toad found a lantern in the attic. Frog will see this light. I will show him the way out of the woods, said Toad. Toad found a frying pan in the kitchen. I will hit that big animal with this, said Toad. All of his teeth will fall out. Frog, do not worry, cried Toad. I am coming to help you. Number 92. Everything and anything in life was bearable as long as she had this. What did it matter if she had to wear that absurd uniform and go to that snooty school? At the weekends she could be a squirrel or a cat or rabbit or lolloping wolfhound or busy rat-hunting terrier. Number 93. Tess gave herself over completely to the game and the joy of companionship. It happened occasionally that she met a friend of a sort in the animal world, but as with human friends, it always seemed to be hard work. This was different. The chipmunk was as eager for company as she was. Number 94. The old Eskimos were scientists too. By using the plants, animals, and temperature, they had changed the harsh Arctic into a home, a feat as incredible as sending rockets to the moon. They had been wise. They had adjusted to nature instead of to man-made gadgets. Number 95. A tale of another fish so big, he'd fill the kitchen, is enough to fool the cat who'd tricked the fish into his pan in the first place. Number 96. Better way to get a rough-haired terrier is to find out the name of some breeder of wire-haired fox terriers, as one variety of rough-haired terrier is called in the dog world _ and right, or see him at a show when you can ask him if he has a puppy for sale. Number 97. Pell has a lamb whose coat grows longer and longer, while Pell's Sunday suit grows shorter. Number 98. And while she's honing her talents, she's also getting ready to move on to the bigger, brighter world she can see through the tiny hole in the henhouse wall. Number 99. Tomorrow is my birthday, Andy. I'll be another year older, and no one is around to celebrate. I miss my sister, Nedna, my brother, Nedrick, and my mother, we just call her Ma. Well, I'm glad you're here. Good night. Number 100. Now Pell had a little lamb for his very own. He cared for him and played with him and fed him very day.